Hi guys, welcome back. Today we are talking 28mm lenses. I've got for you the Summicron 28mm f2 spherical. Let's take a look. So following the results from the poll I did on YouTube, there's quite a lot of interest on this channel for Leica M mount lenses. So I thought time to dig out my 28mm Summicron, which I've had for quite a few years, and finally do a review for you. So if we first take a closer look, this is obviously as the title of the video suggests, 28mm Leica M mount lens. A spherical design, obviously with the widest aperture f2 going down to f16. The 28mm Summicron has half stop clicks, like so, and from the front, and obviously like all Leica M mount lenses or modern Leica M mount lenses, it's a really smooth design. So this is an all metal and glass typical Leica lens, and then it has the black plastic focus tab for those of you that like focus tabs. In terms of the focus throw, not something I've probably mentioned on this channel before, just past 90 degrees in terms of end-to-end movement from close up to infinity. Being a rangefinder coupled lens, the Summicron goes from the standard 0.7 meters through to infinity. For those of you more interested in kind of the lens optical designs, this has 9 elements in 6 groups. And if you look closely, it has 10 aperture blades, if that comes across on camera. If you buy this lens new, it comes with a black plastic hood. If I can find a picture, I'll embed it, but if not, it's basically the ones where they cut out so you can see through the hood. As you know, if you've watched this channel before, I tend to not use lens hoods unless I really have to, and that tends to be only with vintage lenses. As such, I've never used a lens hood with this lens. You can see on the top there, E46 filter thread, so 46mm filter threads. That's the same as the Leica Summilux 50mm 1.4 spherical. The 28mm Summicron is available in anodized black, as I have here, and also in silver. In terms of size, it's not the smallest 28mm lens, and for those of you that are fans of the 28mm Elmerit, I have that to hand so we can do a comparison. So here's the 28mm Elmerit, which is an f2.8 lens. Here is the 28mm Summicron f2 lens. The Elmerit is 39mm filter, and the Summicron is, as we've already said, 46mm. So it's a much bigger lens compared to the trusty Elmerit. 28 Elmerit, as many of you may think, is a nice small lens, and it is a good size. But if you want to go smaller, get yourself a Canon 28mm f2.8 LTM lens. I'll do a review on this in a future video, so if you've not yet subscribed and you're into your lens reviews, feel free to subscribe. This will come in a future video. And while we're talking 28mm lenses, there is also the Orion 15, which I've covered in a previous video. It is pretty close in terms of which is the smallest. I'd say they're almost identical, but the Orion is probably half the weight, if you can see that. So if we just go back to Summicron versus Canon, can you guess which lens gets the most use? This one. And the price is ridiculously different, so we'll come on to that in a second. Let me just grab an M camera and I can show you the finder blockage. Okay, I'm back. So like M240. So I guess one question some of you may have is, how's the finder blockage being a bigger lens? I tend not to notice personally, but I don't tend to look at the edges of the frame, being a portrait photographer most of the time. Okay, so in terms of finder blockage, I've read reviews before and people moan about it, but it really is absolutely minimal. There's a tiny bit in the bottom. I don't want to. It's absolutely tiny. It's probably that, if you can see. Wait, how can I do this? I'd say that much of your finder is blocked. It's very, very slight. If I was doing a landscape photo, all I would do is turn the camera to see what's in the bottom corner, recompose, take my shot. It's not really a big issue, to be honest. I can quickly compare the Elmerit just for completeness. The Elmerit has almost zero viewfinder blockage. Extremely good lens. If you've not yet seen that video, I can link it below. I think it's a very popular lens for street shooters, travel photography, things like that. So why would you buy the Summicron? That is the question. Why did I buy the Summicron? All valid questions, especially when you see what the price is. Before we talk about why you would buy this lens, let's just look at a few example photos and the lens characteristics. First question, can you get bokeh from a 28mm f2 lens that only goes as close as 0.7 meters? Answer, surprisingly, yes. Here's an example photo where I managed to get some bokeh on the 28mm shot at f2 in at 0.7 meters. So it is possible if you want to try and get creative. Sharpness, being a modern Leica spherical lens, this lens is of course very sharp. It is almost sharp corner to corner at f2. You just lose a bit of softness in the very extreme corners. Not something that ever bothers me. And then if you're going to shoot it at f2.8, you may as well just get yourself the Amrit and save a lot of weight, size and money. So with that said, if you're going to use this lens at 2.8, I'd say don't buy this lens. Only buy this lens if you're a low light 28mm shooter and you must have 28mm lens at an aperture of f2 to get your shots. As a portrait photographer, why have I got this lens? I got this lens for wedding photography. It may vary from Leica M240 to Leica M240, but my copy gets really bad banding at ISO 3200, so I can only use this camera at ISO 1600. Trying to do a wedding in a dark church in the UK on a grey wet day, you need f2 on a 28mm lens. Ideally you'd need 1.4, but that's even more expensive. So I bought this lens to shoot at f2 indoors for wedding photography. With the current COVID problems, all my weddings were cancelled last year, so this lens has seen very little use. I have, however, tried to make use of it on the Leica CL crop sensor APS-C camera just to see how it performs. So when we get to the example photos, I'll show you example photos shot on a full frame Leica M240 and on the Leica CL. And then you can decide for yourself if you like the results. I guess with all photography gear acquisition syndrome, first of all I bought the Amrit and I was really happy, but then I was always thinking, oh, but I bet the f2 Summicron is going to be so much better. So eventually I bought the Summicron and I much prefer the Amrit. Yes, the f2 will give you slightly better subject background and separation, but the size, the weight, the amazing sharpness of the Amrit at f2.8, as long as you can cope with f2.8 as your fastest aperture, I'd recommend the Amrit and not the Summicron. As I say, if you must have an f2 lens, then get the Summicron. It's really good at what it does, but that comes at a high price tag. And that leads us on to price. How much does this lens cost? If we first have a bit of a reality check, in the last 12 months I've been buying mostly LTM lenses, and these tend to be under, I would say, under £300, most lenses. Maybe 300 to 400 for the majority of purchases that I've made. This lens, I believe I bought it for less than 300, so let's just say 300 for argument's sake. The Summicron is over £3,000, so it's 10 times more than the Canon, and I use the Canon 10 times more, literally, than the Summicron. So would I buy this lens today? Absolutely not. I bought it at the time because I was doing a lot of weddings and I was trying to get the best glass for the job. And so I was kind of blinking into just buying all the best M glass. This was a few years ago. Okay, new price of this lens, £3,600. It almost makes my eyes water just to say it. The used price of the Summicron 28mm is around £2,000. If you look on eBay, January 2021, there's a few listed just below, there's a few listed just above, but generally they tend to be just over 2,000. So if you must have a 28mm f2 lens, that's the kind of the going rate if you want the Leica lenses. £3,600 in US dollars is around $4,900. And in terms of weight, I forgot to cover it earlier in the video. This lens weighs 256 grams, which is about 9.1 ounces. So again, just to show you on an M camera, that's the kind of the size we're looking at. It's not overly big, but for a 28mm you can get smaller, and I'm a sucker for the Amrit. I really like the Amrit. In terms of 28mm lenses, you also have the option of the Voigtlander Ultron 28mm f2. I have that lens upstairs. Again, I had that for weddings. That was one of the first lenses I bought when I first moved to Leica on the Leica M9. I'll try and do a review of that, but before I do, I'll try and do some quick and dirty kind of comparison tests, images to the Summicron, and then any of you kind of on the fence, Summicron versus Ultron, you will know which one to get. I can definitely say at this stage the Ultron gives you the really cool Ultron style sun stars, at wide-ish apertures. If you don't know what I'm talking about, see the 35mm Summicron 1.7 video that I posted recently. That gives you the same sun stars on the 35mm Ultron as the 28mm Ultron. Another option could be the 28mm Zeiss Biogon. I have the 25mm Zeiss Biogon, and the rendering on that is just absolutely perfect. I really like it. After deciding to buy 28mm lenses for weddings, I then decided that I preferred the 25mm focal length. So that's when I ended up getting the Zeiss lens, and I tend to use either 21 or 25mm Zeiss Biogons. I use both for indoor wedding photography and not the 28mm. If it was particularly dark, I'd obviously take the 28mm f2 to give me that extra bit of light. But in terms of rendering, I'd go as far as saying the Zeiss Biogon lenses are at least as good as the 28mm Leica lenses, potentially even better. The 3D kind of micro contrast look of the Biogon design, it just seems to be really special regardless of the focal length. As I say, really love my 21 and 25. Check out those videos if you've not yet seen them. So that's it, my quick review of the Leica Summicron 28mm f2 spherical. Let's finish with some example photos shot on both the Leica CL and the Leica M240. So first we have photos shot with the Leica M240. This was when I very first got the lens, I think, and I was trying to do some test shots and see how it would perform. And it is really, really sharp at f2, there's no question. It is a stunning lens. And then these photos are taken with the Leica CL, so crop sensor. The 28mm f2 aperture is also very useful for film. I'll include an example here. So this is an amazing lens if you are a Leica fan and you must buy Leica badge lenses. If not, perhaps check out the offerings from Voigtlander, Zeiss in terms of model lenses, and then even the vintage lenses such as the Canon and the Orion 15, which we've already covered. See the video below if you've not yet seen it. If you do own this lens, let me know in the comments. We'll see how many people actually own and use this lens. And if not, what is your preferred 28mm lens? If you enjoyed this video, please hit the like button and feel free to subscribe if you are not yet subscribed. A big thank you as always to my patrons, and see you back here in a few days. Bye.